We live in a world that teaches us how to collect titles, routines, habits, relationships, but rarely how to release. From the moment we wake up, we're flooded with noise. The pings of messages, the mental checklist of what we haven't done, the weight of yesterday's mistakes, and without realizing it, we start the day already crowded, already full. Not full in a nourishing way, full in a heavy way. The truth is, most of us aren't tired because of what's happening right now. We're tired because of everything we've been dragging behind us, like invisible suitcases we never set down. And here's the thing, the heaviness doesn't announce itself. It slips in quietly, almost invisibly. One memory here, one regret there, an unfinished conversation, a version of ourselves we should have outgrown but still keep wearing like an old jacket. Before long, we confuse carrying with living. We think weight is normal. But weight is not identity. It's just what we haven't let go of yet. Most of us walk through our days gripping things that aren't serving us. Old pain, expired relationships, assumptions about who we're supposed to be. Not because we enjoy suffering, but because it feels safer to hold on than to trust what happens if we put it down. Familiar pain tricks us into loyalty. It whispers, "At least you know me." But the truth? Familiarity is not the same as belonging. We don't move forward by cramming more into our lives. Transformation doesn't come from another system, another routine, another hack designed to squeeze more out of us. Growth often shows up not in addition, but in subtraction. The things that weigh you down aren't always heavy objects. They're unfinished stories, drained roles, expectations that never belonged to you in the first place. And here's what nobody tells you. Letting go is not weakness. It's one of the most deliberate, courageous choices you'll ever make. Because every day you grip what you've already outgrown, you block the version of yourself that's been waiting to emerge. You're not really stuck. You're just staying too faithful to a chapter that no longer reflects the book. And the longer you hold it, the heavier it becomes. But you're not alone in this. Everyone clings. We cling to jobs that drain us, relationships that wound us, stories that no longer define us. We cling because letting go requires trust. Trust in timing, trust in the unknown, trust in ourselves. And trust feels terrifying, but so does staying the same. Here's what most people misunderstand. Letting go is not erasure. It's not pretending it never happened, not denying the hurt. It's simply refusing to drag it into tomorrow. It's choosing presence over replay. And that choice, that's power. We've been taught to glorify endurance, to wear our stress like a badge of honor, to call burnout commitment and disrespect patience, to prove our worth by how much pain we can tolerate. But the truth is, no one gets rewarded for emotional baggage. No one hands out medals for suffering silently. You don't win by being the last one to leave a situation that's been breaking you for months. The longer you hold it, the more it shapes you, quietly, invisibly. You shrink yourself to fit into spaces that were never yours. You start doubting your needs, apologizing for your boundaries, calling survival growth. But deep down, you know it isn't. And while you're gripping that old version of life, you're missing the one that's trying to find you. Because letting go isn't only walking away, it's about creating room for clarity, room for energy, room for yourself. Sometimes the most spiritual act isn't meditating for hours or crafting the perfect morning routine. Sometimes it's as simple as deleting the message, leaving it unanswered, saying no without defending yourself, taking a deep breath and deciding, this doesn't deserve my energy anymore. Because letting go is less of an action and more of a decision. It's saying, I will not keep being available to what drains me. And once you make that choice, the world starts to look different. Not because everything outside shifts, but because you finally did. The strange part is letting go rarely comes with fanfare. There's no drum roll, no monk on your doorstep announcing, "Congratulations, you've graduated from your pain." Most of the time, it's quiet, subtle. One day, you just notice you don't care to argue anymore. You don't reread the old texts. You don't crave their apology. You stop justifying yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. And in that silence, where noise once lived, you rediscover yourself. But that's also the place where many people panic. They confuse stillness with emptiness. They think, if I stop fighting, won't everything collapse? But the real question is, if you keep fighting in the same way, with the same people, under the same weight, won't you collapse? Letting go isn't quitting, it's returning what was never yours to carry. The opinions, the expectations, the roles you played to make everyone else comfortable. That weight was never meant for you. And when you finally set it down, you feel lighter, not only in your heart, but in your body. Your nervous system unclenches, your mind quiets. You stop running rehearsals of conversations that never happen. You stop molding yourself into someone else's comfort zone. And you realize you're not too much. You were just too busy performing for people who couldn't hold you. When you stop performing, the right people find you. Not the version of you that's drained, always explaining, stretched thin, but the version that's whole, grounded, unapologetic. The you that doesn't bargain peace for approval. Because letting go isn't an ending. It's a beginning. It's the doorway into becoming the main character of your own life instead of playing background roles in other people's stories. Sometimes the reason you can't move forward isn't because you're lazy or unmotivated, it's because you're still gripping the almosts. We don't just grieve what happened, we grieve what almost happened. The relationship that almost worked, the self we almost became, the future we almost had. And so we keep one hand in the past, not out of love, but because we haven't made peace with it. But the life you're mourning wasn't your path. If it was meant to be peace, it wouldn't have been drenched in anxiety. If it was meant to grow you, it wouldn't have required begging. You can't step into who you're meant to be while clinging to who you became just to survive. And yet, we revisit. We fantasize about closure. We imagine the perfect conversation that will finally make the pain neat. But closure isn't given, it's chosen. You don't need permission to move on. You only need a decision. And that's where the freedom lives. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring enough about yourself not to negotiate your peace. At some point, the burden of holding on becomes heavier than the cost of letting go. And ironically, that's when everything shifts. Not because life suddenly gets easier, but because you stop resisting what's already true. The weight leaves when you do. Not when they apologize, not when circumstances reverse, but when you decide to stop carrying what was never yours. And letting go doesn't always look poetic. Sometimes it's practical, not replying, turning your phone off, quietly stepping back from people who've had too much access for too long. It's not a grand exit, it's small, steady choices to honor alignment over approval. And in that space, you stop chasing. You start attracting. Because the version of you that was over-available and over-explaining was blocking what was meant for you. When you release the belief that love must be earned, you stop performing and start living. Real love doesn't drain you. It doesn't ask you to abandon yourself. It meets you where you are and holds you there. That's when life starts responding differently, because letting go sends a clear signal. My peace is non-negotiable, my time is valuable, my energy is sacred. And the people who align with that, they'll stay. The ones that don't, they'll fade. And that's not a loss, it's alignment. Because letting go is not giving up, it's giving yourself back to yourself. And once you stop watering what doesn't grow, you'll realize you never needed more effort, you just needed less attachment. Some of the heaviest things you're carrying aren't even visible. The pressure to always be strong, the belief that rest is weakness, the script that says you must always be okay. But you can put those down too. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is pause. Not to quit, just to breathe. To remember that being available to yourself is more important than being available to the world. You weren't designed to live on emotional overdraft. You weren't made to carry every weight just because you're strong enough. So ask yourself, is this even mine? If it's not, the most loving thing you can do is release it, not in anger, but in respect for who you're becoming. Because letting go doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're done pretending you're not tired, done shrinking, done settling. It means you're ready for space. Space for clarity, space for calm, space for the version of you who doesn't apologize for choosing peace. Peace is not passive. It's a decision, one you make again and again in a world that profits from your exhaustion. So stop waiting for life to get lighter. Ask yourself instead, what am I still holding that was never mine to carry? Because sometimes growth doesn't look like adding more. Sometimes it looks like subtracting, dropping the weight, freeing the space. And that's the real secret. You don't need to become more, you just need to let go of everything you're not.